Hi everybody. It's rainy here, so we're inside today. I feel like I have a lot of things in my head. I picked the cards. What do we need to know this week? And I know this is cards of the week, but I feel like it's not where I'm being pulled, and I mean strongly pulled, to talk about today. We're in the moon in Libra. We had the new moon about a week ago, so we're in the first quarter moon, just a little bit past. And Libra is about balance and restoring balance to our masculine and feminine, and restoring balance in our relationships. We're also still in the Jewish holy days, and I know I've been talking a little bit about that. And tomorrow night will begin Yom Kippur, which is the Jewish Day of Atonement. It starts with Kol Nidre, which is a blessing, a prayer. It's not really a prayer, it's actually really a poem that is beautiful, set to beautiful, haunting melody that has been sung in synagogues for hundreds of years. And I keep coming back to forgiveness because it is the Day of Atonement. And when we come into Rosh Hashanah, the new year, the Jewish New Year, we are really meant to do our own personal work and reflection and coming to grips with ourselves about the year prior before we come into Rosh Hashanah, and to connect with those around us that where we have wronged or we have lied, cheated, argued, stole the parking spot, stepped on their foot, whatever. And in that month leading up to Rosh Hashanah, the month of Elul, that we are really meant to be doing our own personal spiritual work and our own judgment, so that we can make amends and make apologies before coming into the 10 days, the holy days. They call them the days of awe. And I think that that's so important, but I also think that there's there is an amount of work to be done within the 10 days, and that just because we've done that leading up into the 10 days is not, let us off the hook, but that there is more to be done. And so, I have for the last probably 5 years or so participated in a program called 10Q, where for each of the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they send you the same 10 questions every year. And you have the opportunity to answer the questions, to see your answers from years past, and to really continue that process of self-reflection. But the thing that it really continues to weigh on me is about the forgiveness. And we talk so much about forgiving and asking for forgiveness from others and giving forgiveness to others, but so little is talked about forgiving ourselves. And I'm a big fan of a guy named Matt Kahn, Kahn. He's written a book called Everything in the Universe is Here to Help You. I think that's what it's called. Everything is Here to Help You. I would look, because I like this book and I like him and I like what he has. Yeah, Everything is Here to Help You. Matt Kahn, Kahn. And he's just a really smart guy who leads from love. And so if you follow me at all, you know that that's kind of my hashtag that I love is the way forward. That's my little hashtag. But one of the things that he says has just been rolling around my brain and rolling around my brain and rolling around my brain. And I can't quite let it go as we come into this time of forgiveness. And I really want to put it out there because I felt like it was so impactful what he said. In order to become who I was created to be, life couldn't have happened any other way. I want to say that again. In order to become who I was created to be, life couldn't have happened any other way. Now, there was something else that he said, because we all do things, we've all done things, and we hold ourselves accountable. And sometimes that voice in our head is so mean and nasty that we allow that voice to talk to us in a way that we would not ever allow another human to talk to ourselves that way. And I think, oh, sorry, puppy, sorry. And that we have that judgment, that self-judgment, and we just beat the crap out of ourselves. And so one of this thing that he says, and there's a second part to the statement, and I want to share that in a minute, but it really aligned in with the cards. So in order to be who I was created to become, life couldn't have happened any other way. In order to be who I was created to become, life couldn't have happened any other way. And I just think that is, when we understand that, hi Nella, when we understand that we are, yeah, absolutely, send me a message, send me a private message, we'll set something up. I would be so honored to help, absolutely. So when we understand that we are exactly where we're supposed to be, even when the shit hits the fan, even when things are crappy, even when things, we lose a job, or we get a job, or we lose a pet, or we lose a person, or whatever it is, even the negative stuff has blessings in it, because it is all part of our journey for us to become who we were created to be. And so the first card today was career transition. And Hamuel, Archangel Hamuel, who I love Hamuel. He works with me a lot. And it says your life purpose is triggering a blessed career change. And I love this because I've actually been talking to so many people who have either just had a job change, and it may not be a career change, it could be as simple as a job change, but a job change puts you in a position to see things from a different perspective. Okay, if you've always been in management over here, maybe now you're not in management, or you're in management of something different. It's a different building. It could be as simple as a different perspective of what you see out your car window as you drive to work, or the train, if you take the train or the bus or whatever. It could be as simple as just changing what you're looking at. Wayne Dyer is famous for saying, when you change the things you look at, oh Lord, now as soon as I got it in my head, it went out. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. I had to give it a second. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so sometimes that career change, it may not be an exact change, like, oh, okay, I was a sales director with Mary Kay for Cosmetics for 20 years. I'm still a sales director with Mary Kay Cosmetics. I pulled up a card. Now I'm going to not be that. I'm going to do this full time. It's not that simple. Okay, it's not that simple. Sometimes career change is really about changing your focus. It could be a job change. It could be that shift in perspective. Okay, because when we change jobs, maybe you work nights, now you work days. Maybe you worked in Midtown, now you work in downtown. So changing your job changes your perspective, changes what you're looking at and how you're looking at it. Okay, and so this is about the moon in Libra is the scales, right? And it is about having that balance in our relationships and really restoring balance to our relationships, but it's also about forgiving ourselves, because again, in this time of the Jewish holy days, we are looking so much in the seeking forgiveness of others, giving forgiveness to others, and seeking forgiveness from the one. But it's so important that we give forgiveness to ourselves. It is so important that we offer ourselves forgiveness first. Because if we are holding judgment and self-recrimination and hate and anger and all these horrible things in our heart, how can we possibly bring the light? We can't. So here's the second part of the quote from Matt Kahn. Despite believing that I did this wrong, how was this outcome right for my spiritual development? Despite believing that I did this wrong, I've done something wrong, whatever that I feel like I'm beating myself up for. Despite believing that I did this wrong, how was this outcome right for my spiritual evolution? And I love this because you know what, you guys, we've done so many things that others can look from the outside in and condemn us for the things that we've done because we didn't act the way they would have, or act the way they would have wanted us to, but we acted the way that was right for us, that felt true to our authentic selves. And there is blessing in that. There is blessing in that. Okay. And knowing that you've done something that others would consider wrong, if you can find the blessing in it and understanding that it was all part of the bigger picture, it makes a huge difference in our ability to balance that love and hate within ourselves and forgive ourselves and create that balance and welcome in the balance of our lives. Okay. It also creates balance between our past and our future. And that's really, what we're talking about in Libra is balance and healing relationships. And the first relationship we heal is the one with ourselves, about releasing our past and freeing ourselves to go forward without carrying all of that burden. And so here we have the second card was prosperity, and it was upside down in a redirection because it's asking us to think about this in a different way. So it's not necessarily about financial prosperity, but it is about spiritual prosperity, releasing our past, creating that balance within our heart, and freeing ourselves to be able to go forward. So this is Archangel Ariel. Your material needs are provided as you follow your intuition and manifest your dreams into reality. And so because she's upside down, she's in the redirection, it isn't about the material, but it is so much about the spiritual and aligning ourselves with that higher. And again, when we come back to that quote from Matt Kahn, and we understand that we did nothing wrong. We are all on the path of our own spiritual development and evolution in our journey as humans through the earth school. And that all the things that we've done, whether they were considered blessings or curses or goods or bads by somebody else, all of those things are part of our spiritual development. That we did nothing wrong, and we must come to that place where we can forgive ourselves. So I'm going to say it again, in order to become who I was created to be, in order to be who I was created to become, it's a quote, I want to make sure I say it right. In order to be who I was created to become, life couldn't have happened any other way. In order to be who I was created to become, life couldn't have happened any other way. And despite knowing that I did this wrong, fill in the blank, whatever that was, how was this outcome right for my spiritual evolution? Despite believing that I did this wrong, how was this outcome right for my spiritual evolution? Because there's so many things in my own personal experience, there's so many things that I beat myself up for years. And I know others would look at me and condemn and say, this is wrong, you shouldn't have done those things. But, and I didn't rob a bank and I didn't kill anybody. And I'm not talking about that stuff, but I'm talking about those things where we step out of a prescribed norm because it's right for us. And it blesses our lives so richly. Now, sometimes that you got to search for it, because sometimes when we step out of those prescribed norms and it's just crap and it hurts, and we have those places where we broke up with that person, where we got dumped 3 times by the same guy, or whatever it is, that was just, or we got bankruptcy, or we've got illness, because we've manifested that, we've held on to that anger and shame and recrimination and that hate and that negative vibes. And so sometimes the blessing that helps us be becoming the person that we were created to be is because we've done it wrong, and because we stepped out of society's norms, because we followed our authentic path, to have those experiences so we could learn and vibrate at that higher level. And so that's the spiritual prosperity that we're talking about. is really releasing ourselves. Stop beating ourselves up for the things we've done in the past. Not just about seeking forgiveness from others in these 10 days of the Jewish holy days, but seeking forgiveness of ourselves, by ourselves, freeing ourselves to create that balance between our past and our future, creating the balance in our heart between our head and our heart. And so the third card, leadership, because the first person that we have to lead is us, which means we have to come into alignment and balance with ourselves. We have to be willing to open our hearts and open our minds and align those two places so that we can connect to the higher. But in order to do that, there has to be peace in the heart, and there has to be forgiveness. And the first place, as you move through, whether you are Jewish or not, whether you are observing holy days or not, whether your religion has some practice of this or not, seeking forgiveness of others is a spectacular, praiseworthy thing to do. But seeking forgiveness ourselves is where we create peace. And when we have peace in our own hearts, we can lead others to it, take them with us along the way, and expand the light, bring others to the light, and finally, someday, in our time, create peace on our planet. Robin Kasdan, I love seeing your name pop up. Thank you for visiting with me. I love you. And yes, we do learn so much more from the mistakes that we have made. Okay, so this is Gabrielle, Archangel Gabrielle. It's time for you to assume your leadership, power, and position and lovingly guide others. Forgiveness, leadership. Bring people with you along the way. I know it was a little heavy in there. It was a little heavy, but this has been really weighing on me. And I was listening to one of Matt Kahn's talks, and and his book, if you haven't read it, is fantastic. Everything is here to help you. He kept saying this, and it was like, boing, like, when some people say something and it just hits you in the ashna and you're just like, oh my gosh, that was the thing I needed to hear. And even though I know that I know, even though we know that we know, sometimes we really need somebody to say it outside of our own head, to hear it with our own ears, process it in our brain, and to be able to absorb it into our hearts. Because sometimes reading it on a page or thinking it in our head, it doesn't always get out to our ears to be able to hear it, to come back into the brain to process it. And sometimes when we have the thought and it doesn't get external to us, it just rolls around inside. So I think a lot of times it's really important when you have those big aha moments, it's really important to journal them, but it's also important to say them out loud, because there's something about cognitive incorporation that really is involved with your ears hearing the sound, your brain having to process that as an external stimuli, and being able to bring that into your internal cognition. So a lot of science there. All right, so we have our postcards from the universe today. And again, I just pick them. It's a giant fingerprint right in the middle of my eyeglasses. I just pick them. I don't even judge them. I just say, show me the card we're supposed to talk about today. And without fail, it's always something that's relevant to whatever we're talking about. Dear you, sometimes you just feel like no one understands you. You're not heard, or even that you don't count. This, my dear, is a terrible illusion. And although your feelings tell you that abandonment is real, well, we who love you know better. You are never alone, and even when rejection happens, you are ultimately being protected, so better things can replace what wouldn't have worked in the first place. Everyone on this side of the veil is watching over you and rooting for your ultimate success. Life loves you, we love you, and you are a unique spark of the divine and always connected to the light and to source. You are always in our care. Trust us, keep the faith. Love you always and forever. I just love that. That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And it is so much about we're not alone. Because sometimes when we're in that place of self-recrimination, we really feel like nobody understands. Nobody, I can't tell anybody. Nobody, people will condemn me. They don't get it. They don't, nobody knows, nobody knows the troubles I've seen, right? Okay, so when we really understand that the universe truly has our back and that we are being held in the cradle of the love of source, the love of the one, and we release all the other stuff and we forgive ourselves, we really can move forward in a beautiful, peaceful, light-driven, healthy way, grounded way. So I wish that for you. I wish that for every single one of you. And if I can help, I am so honored to be here. Mela, send me a message. I would be so honored to put together, to set a time for a reading for you. Please, if you like this video, share it with your friends. We'd love to invite more people to be part of our online community. And I wish you all who are celebrating a beautiful, happy, healthy Jewish New Year. And if you are fasting this week for Yom Kippur, have an easy and safe fast. And remember, the first place that we have forgiveness, that we offer forgiveness to restore balance to ourselves is us. We forgive ourselves first. I love you all so much. Have a beautiful week. See you next week.